Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Dark Domain. Now I know a lot of you these videos to sleep, so before you drift off, I thought it would be a fun idea if everyone could leave a comment to let me know where you are listening from in the world. Also, like and subscribe if you are enjoying the episode. Right? Let's get comfy and relaxed and let's deep within the uncharted reaches of the underground. A group of players found themselves drawn to a cavern unlike any they had encountered before. The cave system they explored was vast, a labyrinth of stone and shadows. The deeper they went, the more they felt the oppressive weight of the earth pressing down on them. Darkness consumed everything, but the faint glow of their torches, flickering weakly against the encroaching void. Each step was met with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional, distant drip of water echoing through the chambers. Then, as if summoned by some unknown force, they stumbled upon something strange. Hidden in the depths, partially obscured by the earth, was the entrance to a mine, long forgotten by time. The rusted rails, once guiding mine carts filled with riches, now lay twisted and broken. The wooden supports, cracked and weathered, barely held the cavern's walls at bay. A cold wind, unnatural in its origin, swept through the entrance, carrying with it a faint, eerie sound, like whispers barely audible, as if carried from another world. The players hesitated, sensing something was wrong. The air itself seemed thicker here, weighed down by something unseen. Yet, despite the dread that began to coil in their stomachs, curiosity overcame their fear. The mine beckoned to them, promising secrets long buried in its depths. The players pressed forward, their footsteps now unnaturally loud in the suffocating stillness. Deeper they went, the walls closing in around them, as the narrow tunnels twisted and turned. The sound of their breath and the scrape of their boots on the stone floor seemed to echo unnervingly. The deeper they delved, the more they felt an unshakable presence watching them, a feeling of eyes lurking just beyond the reach of their light. Every shadow seemed to stretch longer than it should. Every flicker of the torchlight felt like a ghostly movement in the corners of their vision. Then came the sounds, strange and distant at first, like the clink of a pickaxe striking stone. The noise, faint but unmistakable, reverberated through the mine. Yet there was no one else in sight. The mine, abandoned for centuries, shouldn't have been alive with sound. It was as if the earth itself was remembering the labor of those who had long since vanished. The players pressed on, unsure if they were truly alone. The deeper they ventured, the stronger the sense of unease became. Strange markings adorned the walls, faded symbols and crude etchings that told a story of something darker than mere mining. The air, once cold, grew colder still, biting into their skin. The atmosphere felt thick with a history they could not yet comprehend. An ominous warning etched into the very fabric of the mine. Yet, despite everything, they continued forward, driven by a morbid curiosity. What had happened here? Why had this mine been abandoned so long ago? And why did it feel as though something still lingered, waiting for their arrival? Little did they know, they had just awakened something ancient and restless. The horrors that lay in wait would soon reveal themselves, and the players would learn that some things are better left undisturbed. As the players descended deeper into the abandoned mine, the oppressive silence became suffocating. The once faint whispers they had barely noticed before now grew louder, more insistent. They were not words, at least not in any language they could understand, but a murmur that sent a shiver through their spines. It was as if the very air within the mine had come alive, carrying voices of those long dead, drifting like a forgotten breeze. The tunnel seemed to stretch endlessly, its narrow confines pressing in on them. Every step stirred the dust on the ground, revealing strange footprints that should not have been there. The players paused to look at the tracks. They were fresh, as though someone or something had passed mere moments before. Yet they knew, with unsettling certainty, that no one else had entered this mine. The eerie silence was soon broken by the soft, scraping sound of something moving far ahead, just out of sight. The light from their torches flickered unnervingly, casting long, dancing shadows against the rough stone walls. The shadows twisted and warped, playing tricks on their eyes. For a moment, the dark outlines seemed to shift, taking the shape of figures lurking just beyond the light's reach. The players could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching them, though the tunnel remained still, as if the mine itself was holding its breath. As they ventured further, the whispers grew into a low hum, rising and falling like the pulse of the mine itself. The atmosphere was thick with tension, as if something ancient and angry was waking from its long slumber. Then, without warning, the temperature plummeted, and the flickering torches dimmed, their flames struggling against an unseen force. It was then that they saw it, a figure standing motionless in the tunnel ahead, bathed in a faint, otherworldly glow. The ghostly miner stood frozen, its translucent body flickering in and out of existence like a glitch in the fabric of reality. Its face was obscured, but the ragged clothing and the dull gleam of an old pickaxe in its hand were unmistakable. The figure was barely there, as if it were a memory of something that once was, trapped between worlds. The players stood paralyzed, their hearts pounding in their chests. The ghostly miner remained still, watching them with eyes that could not be seen. Yet they could feel its gaze piercing through them. Time seemed to stretch in those brief moments, the air growing heavy with the weight of its presence. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the apparition flickered violently, as though disrupted by an unseen force, before vanishing into thin air. In its place, where the ghost had stood, lay an ancient, brittle map. It was old, stained with the passage of time, and covered in cryptic markings that none of them could decipher. The players knew, deep down, that the map held the key to whatever dark mystery was hidden in the depths of the mine. But they also knew that what they had just seen was not a coincidence. Something had drawn them here, and now they had awoken the spirits that had long been forgotten. As they stood in the cold silence, clutching the cursed map, the whispers began again, this time clearer, closer, and far more menacing. With the ancient map clutched tightly in their hands, the players felt an intoxicating mixture of fear and excitement. The cryptic markings on the map led them deeper into the heart of the mine, each step echoing in the oppressive silence. The air grew heavier, charged with an energy that felt both alive and malevolent. Shadows loomed larger, stretching ominously across the walls as if drawn toward them. Eventually, they reached a small chamber, its walls lined with crumbling stone shelves. Dust covered everything, a testament to the years of abandonment. In the center of the room, partially buried beneath layers of dirt and debris, lay an old journal. The leather cover was cracked and weathered, the pages yellowed with age. They knew they had to read it. It was a piece of the puzzle that had drawn them deeper into the mine. As they carefully opened the journal, the faint scent of mildew filled the air. The handwriting was shaky and frantic, the ink smudged as if the writer had been in a hurry. The pages detailed the lives of the miners who had once toiled in these depths. They spoke of camaraderie and toil, of laughter echoing in the dark. But as the entries progressed, a dark pallor settled over the text. The tone shifted from light-hearted tales to grim accounts of accidents, mysterious disappearances, and unsettling occurrences. One entry stood out, its words etched in a frantic scrawl. "We were foolish to dig deeper. The whispers call to us, and shadows have begun to take form. One by one our comrades vanish, taken by a darkness we cannot understand. There is a treasure buried deep within these walls, but it is cursed. We must leave this place or face the wrath of the ancient spirits that guard it." With each word, the sense of dread deepened. The players exchanged worried glances, the reality of their situation sinking in. This was no mere adventure. They had stumbled into a story of death and despair. The treasure they sought was entwined with a curse, a dark legacy of the miners who had come before them. As they continued to read, the mine responded to their discovery. The walls trembled, sending small stones cascading to the ground. Dust fell from above, and the air vibrated with an unsettling energy. It felt as though the very mine was awakening from a long slumber, agitated by the trespassers in its depths. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices rising around them, echoing the fears of the miners who had been lost to time. The players tried to steady their breathing, but the ground beneath their feet shifted ominously. The journal slipped from their fingers, landing open on the stone floor. Words blurred in the dim light as the mine groaned in protest. It was clear now that they were not alone. The ancient curse was stirring, and the players had awakened something that had been buried for far too long. The realization hit them like a cold wave. They had to escape before the mine reclaimed them, before the curse fully awakened and unleashed its wrath upon the living. Determined to uncover the secrets of the mine, the players pressed onward, despite the ominous warnings etched in the journal. The narrow passages seemed to constrict around them, as if the very walls were closing in, squeezing out the light and hope. Each step echoed in the darkness, a reminder of their isolation in the depths below. As they ventured deeper, the air grew thick and stale, carrying the heavy scent of damp earth and decay. Shadows flickered at the corners of their vision, and the whispers intensified, twisting into an unsettling chorus that seemed to mock their every move. A sense of urgency gripped them, compelling them to push forward, even as unease gnawed at their hearts. Suddenly from the gloom, ghostly figures emerged, miners with hollow eyes and spectral forms. But these apparitions were different. They were no longer passive. Their translucent pickaxes glinted with a menacing light as they rushed toward the players, their faces twisted in expressions of rage and despair. The air was filled with an otherworldly wail as the players instinctively turned to flee, adrenaline surging through their veins. The mine transformed into a chaotic labyrinth of shadows, the players barely managing to evade the grasp of the vengeful spirits. The sound of clattering pickaxes echoed around them, a haunting reminder of the miners who had once labored in these depths, now transformed into protectors of their cursed treasure. As they darted through the winding passages, the walls seemed to pulse, almost alive, shifting in response to the chaotic energy that filled the air. Each corner they turned revealed more of the ghostly miners, their spectral forms gliding effortlessly, relentless in their pursuit. The players felt the cold breath of the spirits against their necks, a chilling reminder of the danger that lurked behind them. In their desperate bid for escape, they stumbled over debris and uneven ground, heartbeats pounding like war drums in their chests. Just as hope began to fade, they found a narrow alcove and slipped inside, pressing against the cool stone walls. They held their breath, the only sound the distant echoes of the miners' furious pursuit. The alcove was a brief sanctuary, but the whispers surged, swirling around them in a deafening crescendo, promising that the dark forces of the mine would not rest until they claimed their souls. Realization struck. They were not just in a mine, they were in a battleground where ancient forces battled against the living. The players knew they had to find a way to appease the restless spirits before they became the next victims of the cursed mine, or face the wrath of the darkness that thrived within. In their frantic escape from the wrathful spirits, the players stumbled into a vast cavern, its high ceilings lost in shadows and mystery. The atmosphere felt thick, almost suffocating, as if the mine itself was holding its breath. Stalactites hung like ancient fangs from above, and the ground was littered with the remnants of long-forgotten tools and shattered rock. As they ventured deeper into the cavern, something glimmered faintly in the darkness, a promise of discovery amidst the despair. Curiosity piqued, the players moved closer, their hearts racing with the thrill of the unknown. A crumbling wall, barely standing, concealed a heavy chest, its surface adorned with intricate carvings of twisted figures. Dust and cobwebs blanketed the chest, suggesting it had lain undisturbed for ages, waiting for someone brave enough, or foolish enough, to unlock its secrets. With trembling hands, they pushed aside the debris, revealing the chest's rusty hinges. As they pried it open, a cold draft swept through the cavern, extinguishing their torches momentarily and plunging them into near darkness. When the light returned, they found themselves staring at a trove of relics. Cursed gold coins, ancient mining tools, and at the center, an ominous gemstone that pulsed with a dark, sinister energy. The moment their fingers brushed against the treasure, a wave of icy terror washed over them. The air thickened, and the very ground beneath them began to shake violently. Dust and gravel cascaded from the cavern's ceiling, and the walls trembled as if protesting their intrusion. The players exchanged panicked glances, realizing the treasure they had unearthed was the very source of the curse that had plagued the mine for centuries. But it was too late to turn back. The gemstone's glow intensified, bathing the cavern in an otherworldly light, and the shadows seemed to twist and writhe around them. Whispers surged anew, rising to a deafening roar, echoing the anger of the spirits bound to this cursed relic. The mine itself seemed alive, pulsating with dark energy as if awakening from a deep slumber, demanding retribution for the disturbance. In that harrowing moment, the players understood the weight of their discovery. They had not merely found treasure, they had awakened the darkness that lay dormant, inviting the malevolent forces that guarded it to unleash their fury. The walls of the cavern closed in around them, and they felt the insatiable pull of the curse drawing them deeper into its embrace. With every heartbeat, the tension escalated, and the players knew that survival hinged on their next move. They had to find a way to escape the mine's grasp before they became part of its dark legacy. Trapped forever by the cursed relics they had unwittingly unleashed. With the cursed relics in their possession, the players turned to make their way back through the winding passages of the mine, hearts racing in tandem with the growing sense of dread. The oppressive atmosphere clung to them like a heavy cloak, the whispers of the vengeful spirits echoing ever louder, warning them of their transgression. As they retraced their steps, a deep rumble echoed through the mine, causing the very ground beneath them to tremble. Panic surged as they approached the entrance, only to find it completely blocked by a cascade of rubble and shattered rock. The once familiar path to freedom was now an impassable barrier, sealing them inside the dark abyss. Desperation clawed at their throats, and the air became thick with a sense of impending doom. They were trapped, with no clear way out. As the reality of their situation settled in, the ghostly miners' wails escalated into a cacophony of anguish and rage. The players could feel the cold breath of the spirits as they drew closer, their transparent forms swirling in the shadows, each flicker of light revealing more spectral figures, their faces twisted in sorrow and fury. Suddenly, from the depths of the darkness, strange creatures began to emerge. Spectral beings that defied classification, neither fully alive nor dead. They slithered along the ground, their forms shifting and merging with the shadows, eyes glowing with an unsettling light. The players could only watch in horror as the ghastly creatures crept closer, their intentions unclear but undeniably menacing. With their supplies dwindling and fear escalating, the players knew they had to find another way out. Every sound seemed magnified in the suffocating silence, their hearts pounding in sync with the tremors of the mine. They turned away from the blocked entrance, venturing deeper into the labyrinth of tunnels, guided only by the flickering light of their torches. The walls closed in around them, pressing against their resolve as they navigated the twisting passages. Strange markings adorned the rock faces, remnants of the miners who had come before them, serving as a haunting reminder of those who had never escaped. The air grew colder with each step, an unseen force urging them to turn back. But there was no option but to forge ahead. As they delved deeper into the mine, the spectral monsters lurked in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The players' breaths quickened, and every creak of the mine felt like a countdown, a race against time to find an escape route before the dark forces closed in completely. Tensions rose as hope dwindled, the walls of the mine threatening to consume them, leaving only despair in their wake. In their frantic search for an escape, the players ventured deeper into the mine, their torches flickering as the air grew increasingly stale and oppressive. Shadows danced along the walls, taunting them with glimpses of the spectral creatures that lurked just beyond their line of sight. Just when their hope began to wane, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber, an ancient shrine concealed by layers of dirt and rock. The shrine emanated an aura of foreboding, its walls adorned with cryptic symbols etched into the stone, whispering secrets of a time long past. Dust hung in the air like the remnants of forgotten prayers, and the floor was littered with offerings. Rusted tools, fragments of clothing, and other trinkets left by miners who had once sought favor from a deity now shrouded in obscurity. At the center of the shrine stood an altar, carved with intricate designs that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. As the players approached, the cursed gemstone they had found earlier began to glow, resonating with an energy that filled the chamber. The air vibrated with tension, as if the shrine itself recognized the stone's power, and the ancient deity awakened from its slumber. In that moment, the players realized that the key to breaking the curse and escaping the mine lay within this shrine. They had stumbled upon a forgotten ritual, a desperate plea to appease the deity that governed the dark forces of the mine. But as they scanned the walls for instructions, the cryptic symbols offered little clarity, their meanings obscured by the passage of time. As the mine continued to tremble ominously, dust and small rocks falling from the ceiling, the urgency of their situation became starkly clear. They had to decipher the ritual quickly, lest they become permanent residents of this cursed place, joining the spirits of those who had come before them. With each passing second, the shadows around them thickened, and the whispers of the ghostly miners grew louder, urging them to act. The players felt the weight of the gemstone in their hands, a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness, as they gathered their thoughts and pieced together fragments of the shrine's offerings and symbols. Time was running out, and the fate of their lives rested in their ability to perform the ritual correctly. As they began to formulate a plan, the mine roared with a ferocity that threatened to swallow them whole, the darkness pressing in, eager to reclaim its lost souls. As the players huddled around the ancient shrine, their minds racing to decipher the ritual and free themselves from the mine's curse, a sudden chill swept through the chamber. The air crackled with energy, and the walls reverberated with an unearthly moan. Without warning, the shadows coalesced, and a horde of ghostly miners emerged, fully materialized and seething with rage. Their faces twisted in eternal anguish, the spectral figures surged forward, a menacing wave of translucent forms wielding rusted pickaxes and wearing tattered clothing from an age-long past. The players barely had time to react as the ghostly army surrounded them, their haunting cries echoing through the cavern like the tolling of a death knell. A massive battle erupted, spectral miners charging with furious intent. The players, desperate to defend themselves, drew upon the cursed relics they had collected earlier. As they activated the dark powers of the relics, they felt the dangerous energy coursing through them, but also the creeping dread of being consumed by that very power. They hurled the relics toward the ghostly horde, and with each impact, spectral figures flickered and writhed, momentarily weakened by the dark energies unleashed. The players fought valiantly, parrying the strikes of the enraged spirits, each clash sending shivers down their spines. But amidst the chaos, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were racing against time. While engaging the spectral army, they struggled to decipher the ritual from the journal, trying to piece together the necessary steps while fending off relentless attacks. The mine itself seemed to conspire against them. The ground trembled with each swing of the ghost's pickaxes, and the very walls seemed to close in, as if eager to bury the players beneath the weight of their own terror. Desperation fueled their resolve as they dodged and countered, using the cursed relics to push back the spectral miners, even as the darkness threatened to consume them whole. As the ghostly horde advanced, the players caught glimpses of the ancient symbols on the shrine, flickering in and out of their vision. Each sigil pulsed with a rhythm that matched their frantic hearts, guiding them closer to the solution they desperately needed. With every moment that passed, the pressure mounted. The players knew that to overcome the spectral army, they would have to tap into the very darkness they sought to escape. They focused their energy, combining their strength to harness the relics, a desperate bid to turn the tide of battle and secure their escape from the mine's clutches. With the echoes of the ghostly horde still reverberating in their ears, the players finally unraveled the fragments of the ritual inscribed in the old journal. Time was a fleeting shadow, the mine shaking violently around them, and they knew they had to act quickly. With a deep breath, they gathered around the ancient shrine, the cursed gemstone pulsating in their hands, its dark energy mirroring their escalating desperation. The players formed a circle, channeling their collective energy as they recited the cryptic incantation. The very air thickened, charged with anticipation as the shrine responded, its symbols glowing brighter, illuminating the dark chamber with an eerie light. They called forth the ancient entity tied to the mine's curse, the embodiment of all the anguish and fury of those who had perished in its depths. As they completed the ritual, the ground beneath them trembled violently, rocks and debris cascading from the ceiling like rain. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced, and from the swirling darkness emerged a monstrous figure. A grotesque amalgamation of the ghostly miners, now towering and filled with rage. Its face twisted in a silent scream, eyes glowing with a malevolent light that pierced through the darkness. The players stood frozen for a moment, the entity's immense power palpable in the air. It lunged forward, a horrifying roar echoing throughout the mine, shaking the very foundation of their reality. The players braced themselves, instinctively drawing upon their remaining strength and prepared for the battle of their lives. As they engaged the monstrous entity, the mine continued to crumble, rocks falling like meteors around them. They fought with fierce determination, using the relics they had collected in their earlier encounters to weaken the entity. Each strike resonated with the weight of countless souls, the fury of the spirits fueling their resolve. The battle raged on, with the players dodging debris and the entity's terrifying attacks. The mine trembled, threatening to bury them alive with every passing second. The players coordinated their efforts, drawing upon the energy of the cursed gemstone, channeling it into a final desperate assault against the ancient entity. With one last push, they unleashed a torrent of dark energy, striking the entity squarely. A blinding light erupted from the shrine, intertwining with the darkness, illuminating the mine with an ethereal glow. The entity shrieked in agony, its form beginning to disintegrate as the power of the curse unraveled. As the echoes of the ancient entity faded into silence, the mine continued to tremble ominously, but the oppressive weight of darkness lifted. The players, breathless and battered, felt a profound stillness envelop the mine. They had succeeded in breaking the curse, but the collapse of the mine was imminent. Racing against time, they sprinted toward the only remaining exit, the walls crumbling behind them, the air thick with dust and debris. With every step, they felt the pulse of the mine, a final farewell to the horrors that had been unleashed. As the last remnants of the monstrous entity dissipated into the ether, an eerie silence settled over the mine. The tumultuous chaos that enveloped the players melted away, leaving behind an unsettling calm. The cursed treasure, once a source of torment, vanished into the shadows, taking with it the echoes of the spectral miners. The players exchanged glances, their hearts still racing, as they caught their breath amid the aftermath of the confrontation. Just as they thought they were safe, a hidden path emerged from the darkness, illuminated by a faint, ghostly glow. It beckoned them, promising a way back to the surface and freedom from the clutches of the mine. With renewed hope, they hurried down the newly revealed tunnel, the oppressive weight of dread lifting with each step. Yet as they navigated the winding passage, a sense of unease began to settle in their stomachs. The atmosphere grew thick, almost suffocating, and whispers of ancient warnings echoed faintly in the back of their minds. The players pressed on, adrenaline coursing through their veins, but an unsettling realization loomed over them. They exchanged worried glances, a question lingering unspoken. Had they truly escaped the curse? As they neared the exit, a flicker of movement caught one player's eye. In the dim light, they noticed a faint, sinister glow emanating from their inventory. Horrified, they pulled out a cursed relic, its dark energy pulsing ominously in their hands. It was a remnant they had unknowingly carried throughout their journey, a piece of the dark power they thought they had vanquished. The realization struck them like a lightning bolt. The curse was not fully broken, and their escape might be a fleeting illusion. The mine shuddered again, responding to the presence of the cursed relic. Cracks spider-webbed across the walls, dust falling like rain from the ceiling. Panic surged through the group as they sprinted toward the exit, the walls closing in around them. They could hear the whispers of the spectral miners once more, a chilling reminder of the horrors they had faced. Just as they burst into the light of the surface, the ground trembled violently, a final warning that the nightmare was not over. The players emerged into the outside world, the sun shining brightly above them. But the shadow of the curse loomed heavily over their hearts. They had escaped the mine, but the darkness they had awakened still clung to one of them, a malignant secret that could unravel their lives at any moment.